city of Galveston well understands, and all of us are very sensitive to the loss that we're suffering all over the city, but especially now the trees. Many of them will have to come down.
We're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of trees throughout the city of Galveston. At this time, it's a necessary thing that we have to do.
I've only cried a few times since the storm, just because I've had too much work to do to sit and self-pity, but the few times that I have cried, it's been over the trees.
We have asked the Texas Forest Service to help us. They've been doing a remarkable job, along with Dr. Johnson with the County Extension Service, Texas A&M, and also UTMB. We're all working together on this.
The role that Texas Forest Service has with the city, we're basically acting on behalf or speaking for the city as far as the tree issues are concerned. The city ultimately has the final decision.
We are looking forward to so many people who have offered to help. Volunteers, the Texas and United States Forest Service, Agriculture Extension Service.
We're also assisting FEMA as to determine whether or not that tree is a viable tree to save, or if we think it's going to cause a safety issue and concern for the general public as time goes on.
The city government has been very involved from the very beginning. The mayor, the council, and the city manager and all the department heads are working with us to see what they can do to help us to bring it back. We want to have trees, and we want to have pretty trees.
In assessing the trees, we're also trying to determine whether the trees that do have leaves, whether they will ultimately survive.
FEMA has standards for removing debris, what they consider debris. Dead trees and trees that are not going to show vigor and be survivors are considered debris and are eligible for FEMA removal, which means that the FEMA will pay for these trees rather than the city of Galveston.
And the trees that do have leaves that have been marked for removal is because they either don't have enough leaf or enough canopy level to sustain the root system, and we just feel like their survivability rate or percentage is very, very low.
The first criteria has been to work with the Forest Service to help us identify those trees that we feel like may survive and come back with vigor to be a tree again.
We've sectioned off the areas into 16 segments, including Broadway as its own, which we were going to be doing last, so that would be number 16. We're really trying to make sure that the public's aware of what's happening and when it's taking place.
This has been a psychological shock to the citizen. We had the physical damage done by ice, but there's been a significant psychological trauma, and it takes everybody's involvement and everybody's help and the expertise to get us from where we're at to recovery.
It really helps those individuals see firsthand the devastation that's occurred, and kind of begins to help them understand what lies ahead. But they also played a very valuable role in the initial assessment.
The trees that were lost from Ike in the salt surge, it's a catastrophic loss to the community. It's also a safety issue. And while we have the FEMA money through the middle of September, we need to take advantage of that, because these trees are not going to come back. The idea that a tree is somehow going to, after several years, is going to sprout new leaves is not true. The trees that were impacted by the storm, many of them are dead or very nearly dead. Now there'll be some sprouting that'll come back on them, but the trees are never going to return to their former state. So what's going to happen is the trees will start to rot and die, and that presents a safety hazard. So along a street, it's very important to maintain it in a safe condition. Also, we have another hurricane season. What happens if the hurricanes come in and the roots are rotten and the trees get blown over? So it's important for public safety to remove these large, heavy objects that never fall up, they always fall down.
Everybody in Galveston has similar problems with the number of oak trees that we've lost.
There's still not enough places when we take the trees down for birds to make their nests, so we have to get trees up.
I think everybody in this block is definitely devastated about it.
The shade factor is immensely important. The people in the east end, where we're going to see the biggest loss of residential trees, are going to see a significant increase in their electric bill. So trees are extremely important.
Doesn't look promising for this extremely old oak tree. Looks like it's probably seen its last days. To take out basically 95% of the trees. It's going to be pretty devastating for this block. I've lived here for 20 years, or be 20 years in October. We're here to stay, not going anywhere. I just wish we'd have the trees back before the end of my lifetime to enjoy them again.
Even though we're going to miss our trees, the future will look bright because the trees are definitely going to be replaced.
We're probably looking at planting over the next 10 years 50,000 trees.
People are understanding more and more. There was that initial hope that when a little bit of green showed on a tree that they were going to be back and be fine. And now people are understanding, they can see that the trees are truly dead.
The sooner we get started planting, the quicker we're going to have our beautiful canopy back again.
Texas Forest Service is not going to cut down a tree unless it's absolutely necessary. They're just as much tree huggers as the rest of us.
We're going to need the help of everyone to replant this island.
The resiliency of this population here on the island, and those who are not here but who want to come back, cannot be measured. Let's stay together, let's stay focused, let's move forward, let's bring Galveston back.